This is my first time doing this. I have not recorded a video post for my Substack yet, so I have spent quite a while prepping the room, getting what I need nearby, getting it so it doesn't look too staged, but not too chaotic, which is from here back is just chaos. So it is the end of the year, 9:52 p.m. Central Standard Time, December 31st, 2024. A lot of things are dying tonight. It's the end of the year. Solstice doesn't quite line up with it, but the solstice, my kids survived a first semester at KU, so they've been home a lot and spent a lot of time with me, which I am very, very, very grateful for. But it will not be the same. As started getting accustomed to, I'm alone tonight. I'm not sad, I'm just emotional, I think. Just a lot of things are dying. I was figuring out today that with the Kansas City Friends of Young, I've been on the board since somewhere around June or July of 2005. So that's 19 years being on the board, uninterrupted. And I've been president of that board since, to my best guess, May of 2009. So 15 years, if my math is correct, as president. This is only an inferred date, but history and I do not often seem to agree on things, and so but there is, I guess I didn't mention that I will be going off the board as of the stroke of midnight tonight. So that is, you can hear the festivities have begun here in Kansas City. Yeah, the end of the year is a time to reflect. I was just lounging around and got to thinking about tonight. Started thinking, well, maybe I'll write a post tonight. Then I thought I would give this a try. And I'm rocking my 91.9 Classical sweatshirt, hoodie. still time to make a donation. Yeah, a lot of people asking for donations. End of the year, that's the thing to do. Get those tax write-offs. All that money you... Yeah, a lot of things are dying tonight. I am not one of them, physically. Don't. This is not one of those. Not at all. No. I was just thinking about... Thinking about... This is very meta. But I was thinking about my kid. They are 06, 18. They're 18, soon to be 19. Just finished fall semester of their freshman year at KU. They're out with their partner, just having fun. I think one of the things I miss is that just that drive to be excited about something. Just not being able to control how excited you are about something. Just an episode of a Netflix show or something. Just, oh my God, we gotta go watch this. And I've experienced that. And it's the best. It definitely is the best. And I'm so thankful that they are able to experience that. I mean, the fact that episode of whatever the show is just, in the grand scheme of things, is pointless. I mean, it really doesn't matter. But to be that excited about it, that's living in the moment. Nothing else matters but that one thing. So I'm glad that they have someone they love, and they're at their partner's family's house. I'm glad that they have that extended family. And I'm glad that they're reveling in life. Boy, I ran out of material a lot faster than I thought I was going to. It's only been 10 minutes. Okay. So, I did not kidnap the Pixar lamp. That's just something we have behind me. So the numbers aren't perfect, but they're there's a rough trend. I mean, you put that trend line through it. It's not a perfect fit, but at my first spiritual kind of crisis, well, I don't know. Just I don't know where to begin because the beginning is so far in the past, and I don't want to take up that much of your time. But if you've read any of my work, you know I was raised very strict, evangelical, fundamentalist Christian. The church I grew up in was part of the IFCA, the Independent Fundamental Churches of America. We were so independent and so fundamental that we had no governing body, even though we insisted that we belonged to one. We were an enigma even to ourselves at the time. Had a rough upbringing. My father was 100% emotionally unavailable. um, and I have been working through that relationship for as long as I've been alive. But long story short, senior year in high school, I had one thesis that I nailed to my bedroom door. I wasn't really aware of Martin Luther and his act of defiance, but I did my own act of defiance, put a little index card taped to my bedroom door one Saturday night. Don't wake me up, I don't want to go to church. Well, that went over like a Led Zeppelin, and not in the good way. So I kind of tried to distance myself from all of that. And then, right at 40, midlife, couldn't have written a better story for the movies, but started thinking, God, it's got to mean something. It's so important to so many people. It's all over the world, it's all across time. So I started doing some reading. Came across Houston Smith, um, Why Religion Matters, which was a eye opener to me. And then I stumbled upon Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist. So that was about 2004. I was 40. The kid was not born yet. We were fairly new to the Kansas City area. And I am sitting in the living room, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, drinking bourbon, reading Answer to Job by Carl Jung. Um, Thought there's got to be some other people like me somewhere. So I found the Kansas City Friends of Jung. They had a website and got involved with them. Met a few people, got pulled onto the board in 2005. My kid was born in 2006. Also, if you've read anything of what I've written, in 2008, the Great Depression set in, and I am still clawing myself out of that hole. But now at 60, I'm facing another crisis. The first one was no, the first one wasn't a spiritual crisis. The first one, they're both the one at 40 and the one now are existential crises. But they're kind of the inverse of each other. And I am working through this real time. So I hope you will indulge my seeming lapses. And as I think through this, as I speak, um, at 40, I thought there had to be meaning in everything. No matter what creed you followed, no matter what mantra you chanted, no matter what flag you pledged allegiance to, there was meaning. There was meaning in all of that. And I was looking for that universal meaning. And Jung answered that. Jung Jung had that down in spades. Universal meaning. The archetypes inherited. Can't escape them. The collective unconscious, the it's there whether you believe in it or not. It's a field. It's like a field that permeates everything and everyone across generations, across cultures, across races, across and that explained a lot. It explained why everybody across the world prays. Explains a lot. But that was 20 years ago. That was 40. At 60, questioning meaning itself. I was thinking, again, this might be kind of meta, but what makes something meaningful? I mean, rituals are meaningful. Little items you have that, you know, I've got I got stuff here in this room that my kid made me that reminds me of them. I got their art on the walls. I love looking at that art. Stuff that they created. You know, some of it is, well, they, they drew Leonard Cohen because I like Leonard Cohen. But others is other it's pure art. It's creation. And I mean, why does that colored pencil? It's like a bunch of Venn diagrams over there on the wall, all different colors. That is meaningful because it reminds me of my kid. Is That's kind of a vague and stupid way to say it, but it's akin to a ritual. If you think about the Eucharist, I mean, at least in the Western world, Western religion, I mean, the Eucharist is, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest rituals, the most significant. Of course, we called it communion in my Independent Fundamental Churches of America church, who will answer to no one other than a bachelor old white guy pastor that we had. And we did it, I think it was once a month. We had communion on Sunday. And of course, it was grape juice and saltines. We weren't even allowed any of the devil's juice, even for that. I remember that pastor. He fucking preached a sermon to us with a straight face. The entire sermon was how Jesus never drank alcohol. It was all, I don't remember what the hell it was, but it was not wine. It was different. I just had no clue. Um, anyway, so we had communion, and the whole take, eat, this is my body broken for you. But at least what I remember as now this memory is from junior high. So, we had kids church for for the young kids, so they didn't have to sit through the boring sermons on Sunday. But I guess there were times, maybe this was an evening service. Anyway, I'm like 12, and the message that I get, the signal that I pull from the noise, is the do not do this if you're unworthy. A lot of blame, a lot of blame in my family of origin and in my church of origin and in my religion of origin. I don't know if that even makes any sense, but oh, so much blame. I mean, we're the ones who blamed Eve, for Christ's sake, okay? I mean, God. So anyway, so they passed the. I mean, it's a big church. I don't know, 400 people or so, and so they've got the trays with all the different little juice cups, and like they have the ushers. They give one at this end, and it gets passed down, and you take, and so it takes quite a while for the whole congregation to get their little juice cup. And I always sat in the front, and they went front to back, so I had a lot of time to sit there and wonder, am I unworthy? Am I going to be damned when I drink this little bit of Welch's grapefruit juice? Because it was not turning into. Protestants have the worst rituals. There's no transubstantiation. It is grape juice from start to finish. It is saltine cracker that somebody, this was back in the 80s, didn't wear a glove, didn't wear a mask, didn't wear a hairnet. They're breaking up these saltines into the. So I had a lot of time to sit there and think, am I worthy? And most of the time, I wasn't even thinking that. I didn't even get to that level. I was just mass confessing. I did this, I did that, I did this. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Please don't kill me when I drink my grape juice. And there was a point to that. That was a long tangent. That was a long tangent. Just talking about a painting, a drawing that my kid made, and meaning, talking about meaning, and tracing the breadcrumbs back like I'm Hansel and Gretel trying to get back home. There's a. Oh, God, metaphors. Love a good metaphor. My current existential crisis. Meaning. What makes something meaningful? Looking at these pieces of art that my kid has done that are hanging up in this room. I know I've got boxes of it in other rooms. It's precious. It's meaningful. Some of it was art that they did in school. It wasn't even for me. It wasn't intended for me. But it's still meaningful because they did it. And so going back to why is that piece of paper with graphite marks of different colors and some shapes, what makes that so meaningful? Is it the little signature at the bottom? You know? Or is it that I know the artist? And so using this as one example. So this is something that is, it has no intrinsic value. Paper is cheap. Colored graphite is cheap. It's not, you know, museum quality artistic. There's no artistic, museum quality artistic value in it. I mean, so why is that piece of paper so dear and so precious to me? And I just picked up that last breadcrumb and I can see where I left the path. It's ritual. When I look at that paint at that drawing, let me go back. You have to look at the Roman Catholic version of the ritual of the Eucharist, not the Protestant. Uh, Young put it good. Young put it well in that Protestantism doomed humanity to have to face the gods themselves. There was no buffer of the priest to come between, to intermediate between the single person and God. And that goes all the way back to that first, my God, it goes all the way back to when I was 40 and the first work by Jung that I read was Answer to Job, which was just that. Puny little human Job had to face the Almighty Yahweh and suffer his not impotent, omnipotent. That's a Freudian slip right there. His omnipotent wrath. His omniscience wasn't so hot, but his his omnipotence was in full force. That's what Protestantism. That's the downside of Protestantism. But the ritual. So the Catholic ritual is not, it's not just a remembrance. You're not drinking the wine and thinking about the Last Supper. It's the ritual. It is the it's the joining together across time and space, where the wine becomes the blood, the priest becomes Jesus, offering his own blood to you to live. And that, I don't do the image justice, but that's a powerful image. And that's totally lost with the Protestants. But that that reconnection, it's not a remembering, it's not even a reliving or a reenactment. It is, well, they've got some terms for it, but it is the event physically, temporally reoccurring. So when I look at that drawing, I can't read the date from here, but looking at that drawing transports me back to when my kid was 8, maybe. Trans- transports me transports me back to that time, to those circumstances, to what was going on, to that connection. I was a stay-at-home dad. I saw them every day, all day long. And looking at that piece of paper with colored charcoal smudges on it and some attempts at circles. That's why it's meaningful. Because there's a ritual involved. There's an actual, like I said, it's not a remembering, a reenactment, a reliving. There's nothing with a re in front of it. It's living it again. It's not reliving it. It's living it. It's acting it. It's not reacting. So that's why that meaningless piece of paper with common charcoal smudges on it, that's why it has meaning, because it is attached to my kid. And, there's things that are attached to my wife. And there's, if, if, if I still talk to my family, there would probably be things around that would make me live again some scene with my family. So it's these little things that draw meaning because they're attached to something else. So you've got this main branch where this is my kid right here. And so this drawing, this piece of paper with these marks on it, because my kid did it, that paper's attached to my kid. There's all the other artwork that they did. There's the things that they wrote, especially the ones that they asked me to comment on, to critique. There's things that they painted where they were imitating me, and that so things are meaningful because they are attached to something else that's already meaningful. And I don't want to belabor it, but that's how the whole thing is. You know, it's elephants all the way down. It's attachment to meaning all the way up. So you've got some prime and some prime meaningful thing. Maybe you've got a couple, uh, but you've built all of this other clutter. You have all this other clutter which you find meaningful, and this is not a you as in it. I'm not judging. Um, we we each have something that's most meaningful, and then each of us collect other things that are mementos to that thing that's meaningful. Pictures, you know, go into, you know, anybody that's any family that's been in a house more than 20 years, probably more than 5 years, go into the basement and just there's all the things that are meaningful. That oh, there's a lot to unpack there. Oh, tracing that meaning from each little piece, following it, because I think you get distracted. You can't see that primary meaningful thing anymore because you have all this other stuff blocking your view. Um, the movie trope of the grieving parent who just all they do is they sit and they watch movies of their kid, when they were younger because they lost them, or whatever the plot line is. This is getting long. So where I am now, meaning anything that you can pick up, that anything that you can point to, anything you can talk about, anything you can conceive of that has some kind of meaning only has meaning because it's attached to something else that has meaning. So I think you can see the where does it end? So, this is attached to my kid. My kid is meaningful, so this has meaning. But why is my kid meaningful? I mean, don't want to go into the biology and the psychology of it, but I think you can easily see where you can have multiple layers um, through family. So I was thinking, why is like religion, why is God so meaningful? And at least for me, it has nothing to do with God. It has to do with family. That's that's what we did. We went to church. We went to church Sunday morning, Sunday school, kid church, adult church, came home, took a breather, went back for Sunday night services. Then Wednesday night prayer meeting. And I was involved with some kind of youth group. So Thursday nights, Monday nights, Tuesday nights, I was maybe not at church, but I was with a youth pastor, singing Kumbaya, and that's what we did. And it was it's not that God was meaningful, it's that family was meaningful. This is what family does. So therefore God must be meaningful. And I think, you know, some people have it reversed. For me it was family was the most meaningful. And then, you know, how much shit drapes off of that tree, okay? Family is meaningful. So, we don't we don't go out, we don't have a lot of people over, we keep things to ourselves, we don't talk about it. It's just, oh, there goes your whole explains your whole life, really. So we have these sort of hierarchies or uh, pyramid structures, and I'm using that intentionally. It's a pyramid scheme of meaning because if my meaning goes up and everything points to less, and your meaning hierarchy goes up and points to that, and that's not equal to this, then are they both meaningful? Is there something beyond both of those that they are pointing as meaningful too? And, to sort of cut things short, is just I'm at the point where the whole thing falls apart. There's The Incredibles, great movie. Dash, he wanted to show off in sports because he could go run real fast, but his parents wouldn't let him. You can't display your superpowers. You got to be just like everybody else. And Dash knows he's special. He knows he's special. He can do shit nobody else can. But the rationale, what does his mom say? We're all special. We're all special in our own way. And so, Dash gets it right. If everyone is special, then nobody's special. Nobody's special. So if this has meaning the same as that, then if everything has meaning, then nothing has meaning. I think I am going to cut this. Oh, my math isn't very good. I was going to have gone up to an hour, but I'm only up at 15 minutes, so I can keep going. I can keep rambling and ranting. Um, so if nothing has. So I think the adjective I was missing in all that is sort of intrinsic meaning. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, God has intrinsic meaning, but which God? There's a lot of them. And you don't believe in 99.99% of them. So, and yes, there is some universal meaning. But I think once you get out to that point, it's so nondescript. And the point of at least Christian Christian meaning is the intentionality of it. And that's the attraction that Jung had with the archetypes and the collective unconscious. Intentionality. There was something outside of us. You can call it God if you want. You can call it some higher power. You can call it whatever you want, but there's something outside of us intentionally acting in our lives. It's it's God's calling. God is steering you to this or to that. Um, the unconscious, the collective unconscious, is steering you toward individuation. It's guiding you along the path, along that individuation journey, um, along through that process. But it's an external guiding. There's intent. But if things that we consider meaningful are arbitrary, then the intent is more of a random walk, Brownian motion. There's no unified direction to the nudging. And of course you can see direction. You can see direction on the short term. You know, Brownian motion, particles in a box, they're just sort of bouncing off each other. And yeah, I'm getting closer to to that far wall of the box. I'm getting closer until I'm not. And then I'm getting closer to that wall. And then this. And then. So I think that's what has died. What has died is intentionality, external intentionality. So, as the existentialists say, life's absurd. So, what do you do? And I am 60 with arthritis. I have had one total hip replacement. I've had a spine fusion. I was taking too much of my pain meds today to be able to sit for meetings at work. I do not have I do not have it in me to live life out of spite. Yeah, life is absurd, but I don't have it in me to fight back against absurdity with. I don't have anything to fight back against absurdity. So, in a way, I've come full circle. At 40, I sought meaning in everything, and I found it in Carl Jung. And then, of course, everything that got attached to Jung. Um, Thomas Merton, Christian mysticism, the Desert Fathers, Ram Dass, Suzuki, Zen Buddhism, Thomas Merton again. Um, the meaning, the intentionality, the intentional meaning was just everywhere. It was amazing. It was like partying on New Year's Eve in my 20s. It was just everything was so fucking cool. It all made sense, it all fit together. And now it just fucking doesn't. It just doesn't. At 40, I found meaning in everything, and at 60, I'm struggling to find meaning in anything. Now, that's not, you know, my my kid is meaningful. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would die for them. Literally, figuratively, metaphorically, in any sense of the word. But there's, as far as direction for me, it's a struggle. Um, and that's where I am. 12/31/2024, 10. I can't read my clock. Almost 11 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Oh, yeah. How could I forget? And Trump's going to be president again in a matter of weeks. So there's that. Happy New Year.